Let's talk about artificial intelligence. It's reshaping our entire world, and it's forcing us to ask a really big question. Is this incredible tool going to help us build global peace, or could it become the ultimate weapon? That's the dilemma we're going to dive into.
And really, this is the core question, isn't it? On one hand, you've got this amazing potential for AI to create a level of stability and cooperation we've never seen before. But on the other hand, it could unleash risks that are totally new to humanity. So let's look at both sides of this coin, starting with the bright side.
All right, so let's start with the optimistic view. In a world that is, let's be honest, incredibly complex, how can AI actually become a powerful tool for peacemakers? How can it help us prevent and resolve conflicts around the globe?
At its heart, AI gives us this incredible superpower to see what we normally can't. It can sift through just mountains of data. We're talking economic signals, social media chatter, even environmental shifts, to spot the very faint warning signs of a conflict that's just starting to brew. And this lets organizations like the UN shift from just reacting to crises to actually getting ahead of them. It means potentially stopping violence before it even starts.
And it's not just about preventing conflict, it's also about getting better at resolving it. Just think about diplomacy. Before AI, everything was limited by human speed, by our own biases. Now, leaders can actually use AI to simulate the consequences of different policies, get real data-driven insights for their negotiations, and even break down language barriers. It's all about reducing those simple misunderstandings that can so often spiral into disaster.
You know, one of the biggest keys to any kind of lasting peace is trust. But trust needs verification, right? You have to know the other side is playing by the rules. And this is where AI is a total game changer. With one word, transparency. It's the ability to monitor and verify agreements on a scale that was just impossible before. And here is a perfect example of what that looks like. Imagine you're trying to verify an arms control treaty. In the past, that meant maybe getting a few inspectors on the ground with very limited access. Today, an AI can scan satellite images 24/7, and it can spot things like hidden missile silos or undeclared military buildups. It just makes it a whole lot harder to cheat, and because of that, a whole lot easier to trust. But that's only half the story. For every hopeful way we can use AI, there is a darker, more dangerous potential just waiting in the wings. So now, it's time to look at how this very same technology could become a catalyst for conflict. This is the question that keeps military strategists and ethicists up at night. What happens when the tool that was designed to analyze the battlefield becomes the thing that actually pulls the trigger?
We're talking about lethal autonomous weapons, or as some people call them, killer robots. And what that means is military systems that can independently search for, identify, and eliminate targets, all without a human being in the loop. The implications of this are just staggering.
So the danger here is how this technology creates this incredibly slippery slope to escalation. First, it lowers the bar for going to war. I mean, if you don't have to risk your own soldiers' lives, the political costs of starting a conflict just plummets. Second, these systems operate at machine speed. They could escalate a tiny skirmish into a full-blown war in minutes, way too fast for any human to step in. And finally, there's this huge accountability vacuum. If an autonomous drone mistakenly hits a school, who's to blame? The programmer, the commander, the machine itself? Not having a clear answer is frankly terrifying.
And the battlefield isn't just physical anymore. The war for hearts and minds, the information war, is already being transformed by AI. And I want to be really clear, this is not science fiction. This is happening right now.
A key weapon in this new kind of war is the deep fake. This is technology that can create a completely fake but 100% convincing video of a world leader declaring war or a CEO admitting to fraud. Anything, really.
The danger here is just so profound. When we can no longer trust what we see or hear, the very foundation of a stable society just starts to crumble. AI-driven misinformation can turn citizens against each other, it can sabotage elections, and it can erode the very social fabric that keeps us from falling into conflict.
So we have this incredible potential for both good and for evil, all wrapped up in the same technology. And that brings us to the single most important challenge of our era. How do we, as humans, govern this machine?
And this is the tightrope that governments all over the world are trying to walk. If you regulate too much, you risk choking off the very innovation that could cure diseases or solve climate change. But if you regulate too little, you swing the door wide open for autonomous weapons and mass disinformation. Finding that perfect balance is the great dilemma of our time.
And it is incredibly difficult. I mean, just try getting every country on Earth to agree on one set of rules when everyone has different interests. It's nearly impossible. Plus, a lot of these advanced AI systems are black boxes. Even their own creators don't fully understand how they make decisions. And we still haven't solved that accountability problem we talked about, so the hurdles here are massive.
Which brings us to the final, and I think the most critical point in all of this. At the end of the day, no matter how smart the machine gets, the ultimate responsibility rests with us.
This quote really gets to the heart of it. AI is a mirror. It doesn't have its own goals or its own desires. It's a tool that simply magnifies the intent of the people who build and use it. If we build it with an ambition for peace and cooperation, that is what it will amplify. But if it's built on greed or fear or aggression, it's going to amplify that instead. So the future isn't some sci-fi story about whether the robots are going to take over. The future is about whether we can come together with strong leadership, a shared sense of ethics, and a genuine spirit of cooperation to guide this technology towards its best possible uses. The power is, and it absolutely must remain, in our hands.
So ultimately, AI isn't our destiny. It's our decision. It can be a peacemaker, or it can be a world breaker. The technology is here. The only question that remains is what choice will we make?